his office, Mel Brooks walks out, and there's about 20 little people lined up. I'm like, oh shit, that's Mel Brooks. I'm like, oh, hello there. And at that time, I didn't have my SAG card. So he goes down the line, he goes, I like you. I like you. I like you. And then he pointed at me and goes, I like you too. So that's how it was. I mean, it was like a lineup, and he picked what, 6 things or 6, 7 things, I don't know. But yeah, that's how I got the part. So he gave me my SAG card.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Did you, by name, I had a good friend, Billy Barty. Did you know Billy?
Yeah, Billy, I know Billy. Billy and I have the same type of dwarfism, which is called cartilage hair hypoplasia. Try saying that twice. Yeah, Billy and I worked on a film in Israel, Snow White. Of course, they couldn't call the dwarfs Sleepy Dopey. We're called Itty Bitty Litty Kitty Fitty, something else like that. But we're all the colors of the rainbow. But we spent about a month in Israel. We had the best time, and he was the greatest guy.
He was incredible.
He was a mentor.
Yeah. We played in a lot of golf tournaments together, and he had a golf tournament. Yes. I thought the world of him. Yeah. Kenny, makeup effects. How did you end up getting? Were you cast? Did Mel call you? Did your agent set this up?
Actually, in August of '86, I was contacted by makeup artist Ben Knight Jr. And he reached out and told me he's going to be doing a movie called Spaceballs. And I just finished working with Ben in, well, first I worked with Ben way back in Heaven's Gate, 1979. And I had done some prosthetic work for him through the years, and I just created some back scratch pieces for Jack Nicholson and Witches of Eastwick. And he goes, hey, Kenny, I'm working on this film, Witches of Eastwick, for another 6 weeks. I won't be done until the week before production starts shooting. But there's a lot of prosthetic work in this movie, and I need you to reach out to John Candy, because he's going to be doing this half man, half dog character, and he's got some ideas he wants to run by you. So I met up with John, and he told me he wanted to be this bulldog-looking character with lots of wrinkles. So I worked with him closely for about 2 weeks, and we came up with a makeup, and we both loved it. We thought it was great, and showed it to Mel. He goes, "Where's John Candy? I paid for John Candy. I want to see John Candy." Okay, now I got to rethink this. I got to figure a way to reapproach this thing here. So in the meantime, I had to start thinking about some of the other characters, like Pizza the Hut and Yogurt. And I just got to finishing working at a company called Boss Films, and we were working on a movie called Hunter, which became Predator. And so I reached out to Rick Lazzarini and a gentleman by the name of Screaming Mad George. He's a Japanese guy. I saw him first time on Fright Night. He had bleached out blonde hair, teased up. He had like a gi. And he had eyeliner, and I said, "What is it?" And he was like a punk rocker out of New York, and very super talented. And then I also brought in another friend of mine, George Smith. He's there in the audience over there, as he's a computer specialist and a coordinator on the film. And we quickly set up shop at stage 27 at NGN Studios. And we set up a full lab, and Screaming Mad. Oh, by the way, we called George Smith Screaming Computer George to separate him from Screaming Mad George. Anyway, so we set up a lab right on the soundstage, and Screaming Mad George and myself quickly built the barf head and ears, and then we handed him off to Rick, and he'll tell you what he did with those.
Well, before I do that, I want to say to you, you did an outstanding job. It was an incredible job. And Rick, you were inside Pizza.
Well,
how did you get? How you got the role?
I had worked with Ken and showed him some of my brilliant animatronics, and so he said, "Hey, you can probably tackle this. John Candy's ears need to move." You know, they need to have a lot of flexibility, and so they had to have maybe twist and move and wave, both of them independently. So I said, that sounds pretty cool. So he gave me like John's head cast and his skin, and I figured out the mechanical way to work it. But we went through like 3 different versions of it. One was like a cable control, and he had like 10 bicycle cables coming out his back to this big control thing, and Mel was like, get that thing out of here. And then there was like a radio control one, and that went through 2 different iterations until we came up with like a very portable one, so that there was these servo mechanisms on his back, on a backpack, and those would move cables, and those would pull the mechanisms inside the ears. So then I got to operate them on set. You know, I was there every day watching these guys, helping them, you know, put the makeup and the headpiece on Candy, and got to hang out with John Candy every day for weeks, months, and he was just the most kind, funny, generous, wonderful person.
Yeah, he really was. Everything that we've done in our business, as I said earlier, I've been doing this 52 years, we take away something from almost every gig. What is something you took away from Spaceballs? Was a friend, a memory, something you'll never forget?
Oh, sorry. Never take your girlfriend with you. Never take your girlfriend with you. Oh, she was trouble. No, it was wonderful. You know, just working in the dunes in Yuma, they would bring us up in the dunes with rail cars and walking and singing the ding ding, the bridge over Kauai River Kauai, and ding 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 ding. Anyway, that was so much fun doing that, and then working at the studios. That was probably the last movie that was filmed at MGM Studios. I mean, Ken and I were just talking about that. They had the big Leo the Lion in the front entrance, and so many people were chipping at the Leo the Lion, and it was like, oh my gosh. But as far as memories and experience working with Mel Brooks, he was the kindest, most gentle guy, even though every other word was the F-bomb, right? He was the sweetest guy, very, very kind to us, took care of us. You guys okay? You need anything? Water? He was very, overprotective of us. But that was the most fun I've had in a long time.
I agree. And how about you, Kenny? Something you took?
Well, I want to finish telling you about how we developed Barf, because there was many different looks on him. Once we couldn't go with a full mask thing, we reapproached the design and did a nose, a prosthetic nose, and upper lip. And I think there was a photo of Rick and I doing that test. I'm not sure if they're putting it up there. But anyway, so we were really pleased with that look. And we thought, this is it, this is the look, this is Barf. And we were just waiting for Mel to come over and sign off on it. And he comes over and he says, he goes, we were elated about it, and then he says, he comes over and says, hey, if we're gonna hide John Candy behind a face mask, I could have hired Chuck McCann at half the price. So,
yeah.
So we go, oh gosh. Many actors I've worked with.
Yeah.
So funny.
Throughout my career, I have liked to create a different look for each character to separate them from the previous roles. And creating this new look helps them a lot of times to discover the character. And one of my favorite things to do as a makeup artist is to be part of that process, to help the actors develop that character and put it up there on the screen. So when we got shot down a second time, I was very disappointed. Like, oh my goodness, I'd been working with John for months on this, for a month already, and putting this thing together. So, it was like, wait a minute, when did a nose and an upper lip become a mask? I was very like, okay. So at that point in time, Ben and I had come over for the last week. And Ben, he's the one that brought me on the project, and he wasn't very experienced with prosthetics. But he was one pushing to simplify John's makeup. And so he wanted to do a test without any prosthetics whatsoever. And on the second test we did, there was a blender piece that had a tongue and groove that locked into the helmet. And that was to quickly remove the helmet and give John a break in between takes. So Ben, although he wasn't very strong at prosthetics, he was great at laying hair. And Screaming Mad George had been playing around earlier, and Ben had stopped by the shop, and he had drawn a picture of John with a little patch over his eyes, like the dog Petey from the R Gang comedies, the Little Rascals. I'm not sure if you have that up there. So that's what the inspiration was. And then, so Ben went on by that, and he hand laid a brown and white fur patch on him. And then, to eliminate the need for any prosthetics, he lowered the hairline. I personally felt that closed up John's face more than the original design and limited some facial expressions, but John was able to play through it in the end. And it was amazing. I felt a little let down that my original concepts weren't carried through, but it worked out well, and it's the classic barf.
Rick, what about you? Is something that you took away from the film, a moment of memory of something from Spaceballs?
Working with Mel Brooks,
Yeah.
the most pleasurable experience of working on any film. I've worked with some real screamers, Mr. Cameron, Mr. Spielberg, Mr. Del Toro, and yes, and kind, funnier in person than he is on screen, if you could believe it,
Yeah.
And so, just a dream come true. Pinching myself every day. I'm going there and going. I get to be with all these people, these huge stars, legends, and I'm getting paid to do it. Getting to be friends with John Candy, who said, hey Rick, you like lobster? Yeah. He goes, well, somebody sent me like a crate of lobster. I can't eat it all. Come by the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
I go to his house. He gives me half a crate of lobster.
Yeah.
Here's some champagne for it too. Okay. I like this guy.
Yeah. John was a neighborhood guy. I identified with those more than I did people who thought they were stars in our business. It seemed to me in my years in the business, the bigger the star, almost the more humble the human being, as opposed to those who did 2 episodes on a sitcom and then, no one wanted you to talk to them while they're having lunch, or something like that.
Yeah.
Very
But,
down to earth.
Mel, being around Mel and Larry Gelbart and Carl Reiner, and Ronnie Graham, they were the funniest human beings without a script. I mean, their ad-libs were funnier than most people could sit down and write a joke all day long, and it never ended. I played golf with Mel one time at El Caballero, and I hit a golf ball into the other fairway, and I was concerned about hitting the other guys, and I yelled as loud as I could, 4! And Mel yelled, 399, I know, he had that incredible, and Larry Gelbart, all those guys. There was a show called Show of Shows, Sid Caesar, and the writers on that show were all young guys. Woody Allen, Neil Simon, Carl Reiner, Larry Gelbart, Mel Brooks. This was the writing staff, can you imagine? And Sid Caesar and Thomas, they were, and Larry Gelbart, one time the New York Times guy was interviewing him, and the guy was sort of anti-Semitic, and he said, why is it that all the writers on your show are young and Jewish? He said, because our parents are old and Jewish. Without thinking, boom, it came out. They were the kind of guys that, anyhow, that's what I took away. Anytime that you could be around Mel Brooks, anywhere, and that kind of genius, it was just a blessing. And
So I'm going to tell you about yogurt and how we developed yogurt. So originally I wanted, okay, as everybody knows, he was a takeoff of Yoda. And I tried to make him look, originally the concept was to try to make Mel look as closely to Yoda as possible. And Mel says, well, how long would that type of makeup take? And I said, well, it's about 2.5 hours for a 7-piece overlapping prosthetic. No, I'm not going to sit that long. 2 hours, that's it. I said, okay, well, I'll redesign and make it more simple makeup. So I designed it for a 2-hour makeup. So then a week goes by, I saw Mel walking through the lot, and he goes, Ken, an hour and a half, that's it. I'm sitting for an hour and a half. Oh gosh, so now I have to lose the upper lip and the chin piece, which had like Yoda little wrinkling lips and chin. All right, so we're gonna simplify it. Now it's just gonna be, a cap, one piece cap with eyelids, brow, yogurt type head, lumpy head, and ears. All right, so the day before we're gonna shoot, he goes, "You got 1 hour tomorrow." What? And you see him just walk, I go, 1 hour, he goes, 1 hour, he walks away from me like, oh my goodness. So now I gotta quickly find, I can't do this alone in 1 hour, so I have to quickly find another makeup artist to come in. So I found a makeup artist by the name of Sue Cabral, and the next day we're 50 minutes into the makeup. And I just got the coloring, we had blended off the piece, I colored the gold base, put the patina paint job on this side. I had pre-painted the cap, and I had put it on, and I was just starting on his hands, and he goes, "Okay, that's it." I go, "Mel, we still have 10 minutes. You have 10 seconds. He goes, 1, 2, 3. And I tell Sue, "Start painting his hand." So she jumps down and starts, no. And then he goes, 10. He jumps out of the chair and goes to set. I go, "Oh my gosh, this thing's not even close to being ready to be on set." I go on camera and I go, "Oh my goodness." So I quickly pack up and I go to set and I wait till he was distracted talking to an actor or a crew member, and I sneak up and start working on the hand. And then he's distracted, and then all of a sudden he would catch me and go, "Get away, get away!"
That's funny.
So I did this for like the next half hour. Back of his neck, under the head arm, over here. I still needed to match the patina paint job on this side, and I had to put the patina on this side. So anyway, we're finally, Mel's in front of camera, and we're finally ready to go. And then he gives me a 1 minute last look. Fortunately, the camera angle was, when we introduced the yogurt, this side was featured in camera, this hand was featured. So I was able to, and then in between takes, I just kind of did some other stuff. But there was a funny scene where, okay, there's a couple of scenes with Mel. They're pretty hysterical. These are not in the movie. Merchandising. This is where the real money's made. I got Spaceballs, the T-shirt. Spaceballs, the the coloring book. Spaceballs, the lunch pail. Lunchbox, the cereal, Spaceballs cereal, and Spaceballs, the flamethrower. Oh, the kiddies really love this. Well, around take 4, Mel, the thing had a propane tank attached to it, and it had a sparking mechanism with a trigger. So the sparking mechanism would ignite the propane. He goes, "And Spaceballs, the flamethrower." Click. Propane escapes with no spark. Click again. More propane escapes with no spark. Third time, propane escape, and this huge fireball. Whoa! He goes, "Whoa! The kiddies really love this one." It's like everyone's like, "Oh my goodness." I'm surprised that didn't make it into the film, or at least in the bonus material. The other scene was when the Princess Vespa has been kidnapped, and Lone Star runs up to Temple Star's Barf, the Dinks, they're all running up. Yogurt, "We gotta go get the princess." And Yogurt goes up to the staircase, and he starts to climb the stairs. But he has 3 failed attempts because he's playing Yogurt on his knees. So all of a sudden, Mel looks around, nobody there, looks around, the temple's empty. He pulls up the Yogurt gown, revealing black socks, black shoes, black sock, black garter sock suspenders. And then he hikes up and just runs up the stairs on his own 2 feet. First they yell, "Cut," and the whole soundstage erupt in laughter. Nobody knew that was going to happen. And I really thought, I was hoping that would be like in Wizard of Oz, he's a fake. Yeah. I thought they were going to keep it in the movie.
Great outtake.
Yeah.
He was, again, one real other quick Mel Brooks story about his terrific, how quick his mind worked. When Larry Galbart told me when they did The Producers on Broadway, long before when it went on Broadway, at intermission, Mel was in the lobby with Larry Galbart, and a guy came out and he walked up to Mel Brooks and he said, "I resent this play, and I resent what you're doing. He said, you're glorifying Adolf Hitler. I feel like you're glorifying Adolf Hitler, and I resent that. I was in World War II, and Mel Brooks said, I was in World War II, I never saw you. Again, right off the top of his head. Yeah, really.
Oh, that's awesome.
If any of you have any questions in the audience you'd like to ask, I think that